Reminds me of what happened 20 years ago tomorrow when our next guest and I likewise raised our right hands to take the oath of office. The oath of office chokes me up to this day. But I'm very pleased to see the smiling gentleman from the land of Lincoln, the great state of Illinois, former United States Congressman Michael Patrick Flanagan, who is the president now of Flanagan Consulting. Michael, we're in need of your consultation this morning. Will the new Republican majority be able to repeal Obamacare?
Yes, I think they can. Good morning, JD, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, pal. And looking back 20 years ago tomorrow, mercy. Hard to believe, huh?
Well, I think the current House leadership, Senate leadership is committed to repealing and replacing Obamacare. I think the biggest sticking point is the individual mandate and the employer mandate, and I think those are going to go away. I think it will be much of the goodness of Obamacare that the Republicans have offered many times in the past, insurance portability, the ability of insurance companies to reach across state lines, pre-existing conditions, and so on, many things, will remain in a larger package. But I think the mandates will go. And I think that's what it will generally be replaced by. I don't think that Obamacare, as we know it now, the heavy hand of government requiring that you buy insurance and then keep insurance, will remain. And I think the House is committed to that. I think the Senate is committed to that, and I think that they can move that forward. Can they step over the president to get it done? That remains to be seen. But I think bill after bill after bill is going to come forward to the president, and he'll have to find some way to compromise eventually as they begin to pile on Democrats to help them do this effort in those two chambers.
Well, let's take more of a look at this with specifically still sticking with Obamacare. Even if the House and the Senate were to vote to repeal it, the president could veto it. But you're saying you even see a light for a possible veto override of that would result in the repeal of Obamacare?
No, I don't think you'll ever get a veto override. And if we approach the president as Republicans in such a way as you'll do this or we're going to override your veto, we'll never win that argument. We'll never get the Democrats to join us in getting that done. But Chuck Schumer recently observed, the most bitter partisan of Democrats, that it wasn't the right time to do Obamacare. I think if we just try to replace Obamacare nakedly and walk away, we lose that fight. If we try to replace it, repeal it, and replace it with something that's Obamacare light but gets rid of the mandates but puts in a lot of the health care changes that many Democrats would like to see, a bipartisan bill can be generated. And the president, while still not having veto-proof numbers, would have to pay attention to that. And I think they have the ability to get the president to say we can replace it with a better product by Congress. And I think there's a possibility of that happening.
About a minute and a half remains in this segment before we get into all the intrigue of House Republican leadership and what may happen in the first vote tomorrow in the House. Let me ask you about another bill that would appear to be low-hanging fruit, Keystone XL pipeline, because so many unions are in favor of this. The Republicans are in favor of this. We need jobs. We need energy. Can the president be persuaded not to veto the Keystone XL pipeline?
I'm reminded of a vote we took, JD, 20 years ago or 19 years ago about bankruptcy reform. And the night before, while we were voting, the night before the president vetoed it, he had a big dinner with the trial lawyers where he promised them he'd veto it. We passed the bill overwhelmingly. It went to the White House. He vetoed it. And then it came right back, and we generated veto override numbers very quickly, and we overrode that veto. He knew we'd override it, and he still gave the vote to the trial lawyers to get that done. I think you'll see the same thing with XL. There is veto override numbers. Unlike Obamacare, XL has veto override numbers on it. And the president will veto it, and then we'll override, and it'll become the law of the land. And he'll be able to make the crazy left in his party happy, and we'll be able to do the work of the American people.
Oh, so there is the first real piece of good news coming out of the upcoming Congress. Votes there for a veto override of the Keystone XL pipeline. Michael Patrick Flanagan, when we come back, we will talk about the 218 votes required for Speaker and what may be in store for John Boehner. You stay with us here on America's Forum.